on YouTube. This is Clay with Clay's AC and Auto Repair and Accurate Engines here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. If this video is helpful, please consider subscribing, clicking the notifications, sharing my videos, give me them sweet old thumbs up. Remember, if anyone else can do it, you can do it too. Don't be the next to them, be the first to you. So today, we're gonna pull out this motor out of this Chevy Traverse. Now, this engine job is gonna be pretty much the same as the GMC Acadia. Al is gonna show us how he pulls it out through the top. This is not gonna be a nuts and bolt video, but if you have quite a bit of mechanical aptitude, you'll certainly be able to get this thing out through the front in your driveway with a lot of things taken apart. The good thing is, we're gonna also rebuild this motor, and we'll probably show you how we end up rebuilding it. We call it remanufacturing here. It's a little bit different process than rebuilding. Rebuilding, they only replace little bits and pieces that are broken inside the engine, but with remanufacturing, most of the engine is like new. Also, the Clayway is the only place that you're able to buy your engine and see it remanufactured and have your own QR code to put underneath the hood so you can see that done. So the next time you need an engine, look me up down here at Accurate Engines. We also offer free pickup. Remember, the Clayway is the only place that your donations, your small donations, can actually win you the award of being able to help a family that's helping themselves, that are in need, where we make video repairing cars and then donate them vehicles to needy families. You can be a part of that and see it through the whole steps. So check the description down below for that. And if you got a question for me, hit me up on Clay's AC and Auto Repair on Facebook. I can't help you with your baby mama drama, but I might be able to help you fix your car. Okay, so I thought it'd be good for the video for Al to give us a little synopsis on what he's gonna do in the process that he goes through to take these out. To be honest with you, I personally lower the cradle and the transmission out at one time. Al does it totally different. Now, I think his way is pretty good, and I think it's especially good for folks like you at home. So Al's gonna tell us the steps that he goes through so you get an idea of what's gonna end up happening during the engine process removal.
First I do the bottom. I take all my parts off the bottom, and then I come and I take this piece off here. This whole front end all comes off. Comes out, gets out.
Is it easy?
To me it is, yes.
Okay. then we'll go through. Is there any more to that, Al, or is that pretty much it?
There's some wiring and stuff. You got pull bumper and your radiator saddle and radiator out the way. But yeah, I mean, it's basically just.
And then you start doing bell housing bolts on the top and stuff like that.
Yeah, all your bell housing bolts, but some from the bottom. You got a transfer case that's probably hooked to this tranny because it's an all-wheel drive, I believe. So that's, you got to separate that in the end, but you wait to the end because you lose fluid that you'll end up having to replace, about a quart if you do it at the end. If you're going to do it in the beginning, you're going to probably end up replacing 3/4 of your tranny fluid.
Okay, cool beans. So we'll get going. He's going to raise it up in the air and pull out some bolts.
Take this little shield plate here off, 4 bolts, there's going to be 2 on each side. You're going to take that off, you're going to unplug the knock sensor here, and up front here, you unplug them, and take your exhaust off, and get that right on out your way. After you get that out your way, you're going to come up, you're going to take a 10mm bolt, 15, you can get this out your way. You take your crank sensor bolt out, pull your crank sensor right out there. You got a knock sensor behind here also. Then I usually do my bell housing bolts. There's 118, 3 15s. And I come over here, take my axle housing off the side of my block. There's 3 15 bolts on it and 1 13 up under the power steering pump. After you get that, you got up over here, you're gonna have a couple bolts here on this bracket right here. One's a 13 that's on the block. The other one is this 10 right here. You take them out, it's able to move this oxygen sensor wire out the way. That'll be able to move. There's right up above that is a ground you have to take off. 10 millimeter, take them out, bolts out. You're gonna wanna take this off if possible. Your catalytic converter is gonna catch up on things, make it a little hard to pull. But there's 315 bolts. One you get from up here. You're gonna probably need a 1/2-inch drive ratchet, break it loose, be able to get it. And then from the bottom here, you got two 15s. What I use is a little 1-inch extension on my ratchet so I can get up in there and I break them loose, and then I use my battery powered ratchets to pull them out all the way. You take the catalytic converter, get it out your way. Power steering line bracket right there, 10 millimeter nut. You're gonna take that off. You're gonna get that bracket out your way, and then there's that ground, and it's gonna be a 13. Pull that off.
He says he forgot one thing, the power steering bolt, which is right up here. Yep, I got your other hand right up in there.
This one bolt right here. You take that out, then you're gonna come over here. And you got this one power steering bolt here. This tensioner you can take before you do that if you want. Take this tensioner, get this belt off there, get it out your way. After you do that, you got one motor mount bolt, or one mount bolt right here. It's a 15. Reach in there, zip it out.
That it?
And then that's it for the bottom.
Like Al said, he's got everything out from the bottom, all the bell housing bolts. And I'll tell you guys, I've only walked away for about 20 minutes. I mean, I don't expect you folks at home would be that fast, but Al's a ninja. That's why we call him King Al. And if you notice, his exhaust is all off up to here. His catalytic converter is out of there. He's still got the front one in there. He's still got the front one in there.
When I got the bolt out for the bracket that holds it,
okay.
Because we will take that off, but we just take it off up and out front.
Right. Cool beans, man. Cool beans.
There's a couple bolts for the front end pieces that you can take off while it's up. Well, jacked up. If you got it jacked up on jack stands in your driveway or garage, it really don't matter, but I have it on the lift, so I try to take these bolts out while I have it on.
Right.
And it's going to be some 10 millimeter bolt right here, two of them, one on each side, and then there's going to be a couple screws, usually right here on the bottom of these weir wells that you're going to want to take off, so that when you go to the side and stuff to take the rest of the stuff off, that they're already off and you ain't jumping back on the bottom to do them.
Yeah, try to get everything off that you possibly can. Watch the whole video, and then you'll know what we did, and it'll make more sense to you. Now we're going to get inside the vehicle and unhook the battery from behind the passenger seat. He's left the key in the ignition with it turned on so he can turn the steering after he's unhooked the battery. Then that allows him to move the wheel well and start taking out the fasteners that are holding in the inner fender here on the front.
This particular one, there's 1 and 2.
1 and 2 on each side. Now after you take the bolts out that secure it to the bumper cover,
I'm going to fold it up in here behind this tire, kind of push the tire back just a little bit to hold that inner fender away. There's a bolt right here, you can see 7 millimeter head. You got to take that one all the way out. And then there's going to be 2 or 3 more up on the inside of the here. You just loosen them and it'll allow that to move for when you take off the bumper.
So what steps are you going to take right now, Al, to remove this front bumper assembly? You're going to remove them 2 screws over there on each side and then loosen up the 2 bolts that are holding the fender to the lower bumper cover. And then are you going to remove the headlights, or what are you going to do?
Usually when I undo this, there's usually a fog light in a lot of these bumpers. You unplug it right there. And you do that on both sides. Then you usually go up top. You're going to take off this plastic cover. There's going to be some bolts periodically through here. You take that off, and then you'll be able to slide this front bumper cover right off.
What about the headlights?
The headlights come out in a process after that.
Okay. So Al's got the top plate off. There's a bunch of pushies that hold that on, a couple 10mm bolts and etc. holding the grill on here. And he's ready to remove the whole bumper cover. Actually, it's really not that hard to remove it. It looks like it is. Now he's going to take off the few bolts that hold the headlights on there and start removing the front core support. As he's taking out the bolts that hold on the headlight, he's also going to remove the bolts that hold on the cooler. No?
Do not pull these bolts.
Okay.
Now we're going to see him pull off this shroud that's up here, and he's removed a few bolts, one down there, etc., and it should come right off. Just so you folks know, the reason we're not showing you a nut and bolt removal of this, Al gets paid flat rate for doing these engine removals and installs, and it would end up taking him 2 days to do what only takes him now about 3 to 4 hours to remove. So we can't do that for you folks. We wish we could, but maybe someday, but not today. There was also a bolt on each side of right here, but he had already taken them out. In case you're wondering, I inserted an audio track into these spots where we're going fast, but I didn't know the audio track was copyrighted, and I already spent 4 days editing out this video and had to spend another 2 days redoing it, and it didn't turn out like I wanted. And since this is the only video where somebody actually shows you how to do this through the top, I thought I would still put it up. You need to evacuate the AC system. Don't let the stuff go up out in the air. Make sure you collect it properly like you're supposed to, or take it to a shop. I know it's not the perfect video, but at least it will be somewhat helpful in letting you know it can be done. In case you have a pump at home, the connection's right down here by the oil filter. Now we're doing the upper and lower radiator hoses. We've got a catch pan there to make sure that don't go on the ground so our loved animals don't lick it up because it tastes sweet to them. What you doing now, Al?
Alright, I gotta fold this little plastic piece here under these power steering lines that run right here so I don't break nothing.
Okay.
And you're gonna kind of pull it up a little bit, kick it back so it don't grab them lines too. And you just pull it on up out of it.
Obviously you unplug the, the fans and stuff and dumps out the rest of the coolant. Now we're actually getting somewhere, and you can start to see how getting this engine out through the top is a definite possibility. Actually, it's more than a possibility. It's for sure that we will, because I've seen Al do this like 6 or 7 times since I've been here. Now we've got almost all the bolts out of the core support here. Al's going to disconnect some of the wiring that's holding it on around the core support, and it's almost about ready to come out. There's a couple bolts on the bottom of there you need to check out. And going to pull that thing right out of there.
Oh, got one over there.
He's got a couple little stuff right here that's got to be unhooked. Nobody's perfect. There's a lot of stuff hooked to it. Now we've got wide open spaces. Now we're going to start removing this air box out of here and get that out of our way. Out of there. Now you can get to the rest of the bow housing bolts and start getting everything so he can separate the engine. Now we're going to remove the brake booster tube that's connected to it. 6 bolts that hold the intake on there, and remove the intake and disconnect any electrical connectors that are on top of the intake, but the intake comes off super easy. There's a couple reasons he takes the intake off. It's so he can bolt his chains to hoist up the engine out of the engine bay, but he also needs to disconnect the high pressure lines that are underneath it, plus he needs some wiring to be removed, so he's got to get that out of his way.
There's a plug that goes to the rack and pinion down here that you got to unplug. It's part of them.
Is that one of them hard ones to unplug, or is that?
It's kind of a metal clip you push in, and then you got to slide the whole plug out.
Okay. Let's see the plug when you get it out of there. Oh yeah, you push it in like this.
Push this piece down, and then pull the plug off.
That might be helpful. I know we didn't show you guys a lot of the plug removals, but most of them are self-explanatory. I'm assuming most people that are going to attempt this are somewhat novice, type folks. Hopefully you amateurs, this is going to be difficult, and you just send the vehicle to us down here at Accurate, because we really don't charge a ton to actually change these engines out in these vehicles. It's actually a really fair price. I know a lot of places charge over $2,000, and we're not anywhere near that. Now we're going to take a 3/16 fuel line tool and stick it up underneath there. Now when you push that tool inside there, you're going to pull it all the way to the right, let it sink down inside there, and then you're going to push up on the line against the tool, and as you do that, pull back on it, and then it should come off really, really easy like that. Now right here next to the driver's side strut tower, you're going to have 2 connectors that need to be unplugged. Now we're going to disconnect the ABS control module plug.
Yeah.
There's a sensor attached to the brake booster that we're going to need to remove, so we remove it entirely. We're going to remove the 10mm bolt holding this ground down. He makes this look really simple, but he's done so many of them. As far as the electrical goes, it's actually really simple to put it back on because it lays over the engine properly. If there's ever a time where I can't find something that's supposed to plug in, I just keep plugging other things in until I find it, because it generally shows me where it goes.
I go back here and take off this motor mounts, the radiator hose, so we can reach back here and do some plugs and another bracket for your power steering line.
So Al's got the mount out of there and most of his electrical undone. So what are you doing next, Al?
Alternator and AC next.
Do you have to pull them before you
still pulling some wiring actually. So
do you have to pull them before you remove the engine, or?
Yes.
Okay. Now he's going to remove the exhaust manifold so he can get to the starter behind there, and you have to take the starter out to get to the flywheel bolts. This is the electrical mess, and as you can see, there's pretty much no electronics, wires hanging over the engine at all. Now he's removed the starter, he's removing the torque converter bolts. You're going to need to spin the engine as you remove the torque converter bolts. And he's going to remove all the bell housing bolts. And this water jacket that goes over the top of here, he's got to remove that at the same time as removing the upper bell housing bolt. Now he's going to grab a jack and put it underneath the transmission to support it. He's not going to raise that up a ton, but as he raises it up, you're going to notice the transmission split. Now, because his intake is removed, he can use his chains to attach them to the top of the engine and easily get the engine out of there with a little bit of moving and wiggling. It's going to pop right up out of there, and we're all there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you remove an engine from the inside of a GMC Acadia Chevy Traverse. Bam! So let's thank Albert for showing us how that was done. I know it wasn't a nut and bolt video for you folks, but maybe in the future we'll be able to make one. Remember, if anyone else can do it, I promise you, you can do it too. Look down below in the description so you can help needy families. Even if you're a needy family, there's other families out there that maybe need more help than you. Please consider subscribing, clicking the notification, sharing my videos, and giving me them sweet-o thumbs up. Remember, God bless and have the best of days. This is Clay at Accurate Engines in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Thank you very much for viewing.